Hi, this is Jennifer, and I chose the excerpt from More Into the Story by Hannah Khan. And I would use this excerpt to teach an author's craft mini lesson about voice. So with this lesson, I could teach voice, and the teaks that I decided to choose are teak 6.9F, which is to discuss how the author's use of language contributes to mood and voice. And basically, I would use this excerpt as an example for students to analyze and understand how to add mood and voice to their own narratives. So, theoretically speaking, my students would already have written a narrative, and basically judging on what they've written within the narrative, I would go ahead and introduce this excerpt and use it as an example to teach them about how Hannah Khan in this excerpt uses voice and mood. And I would use that to have my students see an example of how she uses, again, mood and voice here, and how they can go back and revise and edit their own drafting of narratives and see how they can add mood and voice, or to even see if they can identify if their main character or different characters have set a mood or their own voice in their own narratives. And so, quick overview of this story as far as to the point of where this excerpt came from. Before this, the main character, which is Jamila, and her sisters, and basically her whole family, are going to celebrate. They're going to celebrate this big holiday called the Eid, and it's spelled E-I-D. And so I did some research, and Eid is basically a big holiday in Pakistan that is celebrated twice a year. And basically, this is kind of equivalent to like Christmas. So it's a big deal, it's a big holiday. And so what we come out to find out later is that Jamila and her sisters and all of her family, they're very sad because their dad is not there to join them. And so he's on a business trip that he could not miss, which later we find out that the reason he had to miss this big holiday was because he's out of a job. And so they're having a financial hardship and they're struggling financially. So that's why he had to miss. And so fast forward into the story, their dad, which they call Baba, he comes home and they're having football night. They're celebrating, they're watching it, and as they're watching football, one of the sisters asks if they can get ice cream at some place, because the mom offers to go to this one particular place, and one of the daughters asks if they can go to another ice cream place, and the mom kind of hesitates and says, well, no, not today, but we'll try to go some other day. And so later within the story, again, we find out because they're going through a financial hardship, they can't afford to go to this fancier or more expensive ice cream place. And so then comes this excerpt. He's right. The cornbread cuts the spice level down to perfect, but I'm still thinking about what Mama said about the frozen yogurt. When I walked into the kitchen after breakfast this morning, Mama and Baba were talking quietly. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I heard Mama say she was worried about the house payment and Baba tell her to try to relax and that everything would work out. Mama started to respond when she heard me come in and looked up in surprise. What are you doing? Mama quickly tried to relax her face into a smile. Nothing, I said, acting like I hadn't heard anything. Just wanted some water. That filter needs to be changed. Take some from the pitcher. Baba got up and handed me a glass. I could tell neither of them wanted me to stick around. So if I left with my water and a swarm of questions buzzing around in my brain, the biggest one was, what will happen if Baba doesn't get a job soon? So at this point, it is very obvious to the main character, Jamila, that her family is going through some financial hardships and that they're struggling. And so there is this tone where right here she says, I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I heard Mama say she was worried about the house payment and Baba tell her to try to relax and that everything would work out. So at this point, because of the type of language that is being used, and because prior to this it says Mama and Baba were talking quietly, and this language that's being used, you could kind of tell the mood that is being set within the story. And so the author sets this mood of like worrisome, and like that there's this big conflict, that there's a trouble. And so that is the type of language that is being used here, and the type of mood that it sets, not only for us, the readers, but also for Jamila herself finding this out. And so later, it says, Mama had started to respond when she heard me come in. So right here, and looked up in surprise. What are you doing? Mama quickly tried to relax her face in a smile. So here at this point, it's also not only a mood of being worried like her mom, but there's another type of like surprise. It seems like if there's a mood of being startled because the mom does not know, and it says here, Mama quickly tried to relax her face. So the mom is trying to hide, that they're going through any hardship. And so here, the type of language that is being used would be the way she's responding, and the type of language being used here would be the type of language that would be used here would tell us the way the mom is reacting and how she's trying to act like if nothing is going on, and just trying to hide that, they're really going through some issues right now that they, parents don't really want to say. And so the descriptive language in this paragraph could kind of also make you picture, the type of worried and troublesome look that not only Jamila has, but that her mom has as well, trying to act relaxed, but she might have this tense look, and I can picture her eyebrows, being scrunched, and just making a face, a fake face that, everything's okay, there's nothing to worry about. Finally, in the third paragraph, that filter needs to be changed. Take some from the pitcher. Baba got up and handed me a glass. And right here, I could tell neither of them wanted me to stick around. So I left with my water and swarm of questions buzzing around in my brain. So in this final paragraph, the type of language being used, it feels like there's this tension between both parents and Jamila. They were trying to be all secretive, and talk about a resolution of, what are they going to do to pay the house, and Baba hasn't gotten a job. And so right here, the type of language, that's being used, I could tell neither of them wanted me to stick around, again, because there was this mood, in these two paragraphs of, this worrisome and troublesome and secrecy, that their parents do not want them to find out. They don't want their own daughters to worry. And so the mood that is set here leads to the mood of the main character, Jamila. So finally here, when it says, I left with my water and swarm of questions buzzing around in my brain. Swarm of questions buzzing around my brain. That type of language is telling us that, she has all these questions going around her brain. She knows that they're lying to her. She knows what's going on already. And so she has all these questions, going, and you could almost, feel that tension yourself. You can picture, Jamila confused and worried and with all these questions in her head, asking herself, oh, what's going to go on? Are we going to lose the house? And you can almost, foreshadow that. And so, ending off this paragraph, the biggest one was what will happen if Baba doesn't get a job? And this final sentence here sets the whole mood, of the story, which is this big worried, you know and it almost left me, with kind of like a hole in my heart, honestly. And it feels like, a bomb just was dropped. The biggest one was what will happen if Baba doesn't get a job soon. So it's like, uh-oh, okay, what's gonna happen? Is Are they gonna lose their house? Is the dad going to have to, try to get another job? Is he gonna have to move? What is going to happen? So with this type of language that is being used in the three paragraphs, I would use these as an example with my students to show them how the author here uses certain type of language that sets the mood, of the story. And so not only for the main character, but for the whole story throughout, and for the other characters too, which is the mom and the dad. And so I would use these two to again demonstrate how the author uses this in the book, and show how in reading it is used, and how they can apply this to their own writing. And so again, I would have them analyze and understand how the mood and the voice is being shown here in the reading, and how to go ahead and analyze and pick those parts, and trying to understand, what the voice and the mood is for each character, and for the story as far as this section right here. And then I would have them again work on their own narratives, and then try to apply what they learned in the reading to their own writing, and see if they can add their own type of mood and their own type of voice, to their own characters, and give each character their own unique voice.